good evening. Welcome to Damage Does D&D, our persistent campaign for a Sunday, which is now called The Investigators, because I have named it. Episode 11. So, should be good from last week's jailbreak to whatever's going to happen this week. I'll hand you over to our DM, Martin.
Hello. So, last week, the party had made camp and set watches. Despite a warning that the camp that they were sleeping at was indeed an ambush, they decided to stay and were ambushed. Realizing that they were entirely outnumbered and fighting would be futile, they went along with their to-be jailers and were locked up in a basement cell for the evening, with the threat that they may or may not be eaten in the morning by the dragon that runs the town. A plan was hatched and successfully executed, and an escape was made in dramatic and exciting fashion.
Yes, indeed.
And only one of the guards ended up dead. The escape was made to the south and moved on through the night, stopping under a bit of an overhang by sort of daybreak to try and catch some sleep, having shrugged off their pursuers. A little bit of, instinct from a party member to decide to head south, and that led the party to the safety of some trees come the morning, and then headed west and back onto the main road, where they met up with a lovely dragonborn lady travelling between towns by the name of Celery. That's the name that popped into my head at the time. And travel was then made. I hate celery as well. Travel was then made to the final destination of Seti. And it is outside that town that we pick up.
Superb.
So how far from the town are we? Are we just entering it, or?
A little way away, like a few hundred yards or something. So you're approaching if you wanted to do anything at this point.
Well, it was very kind of you, sister, to give us a ride.
Oh, that's quite all right. Glad we got here safe.
I'm glad that not all dragonborns are prone to violence.
No, definitely not. Don't want to be, but the reds are best avoided.
Yes, unfortunately they seek confrontation, which makes avoiding them trickier than normal.
That's true. Well, we're all safe and sound, aren't we?
Indeed. Thank you very much for your assistance, Celery. It was very kind of you to stop and allow us to ride on your carts. Thank you.
Quite all right.
Is there anything else we should know in this town we are coming to? Where would be a good place to stay? Is it safe for strangers?
Absolutely. This town is one of the safest places in the country. Seti is widely respected and very welcoming to outsiders. You will be perfectly safe here.
Insight check.
Okay.
Say the same thing.
Go for it. If you are checking, you can roll your checks.
Oh, natural for 8.
Natural 20 for 24.
Okay, and it was a natural 1 for you, James, was it?
Yes.
Well,
Interesting.
yeah, you barely paid attention. Mazdak, you get nothing but sincerity from her.
Cool. Thought I would, but just, it doesn't help to
Certainly not.
Where might I find this skeleton that you mentioned?
Oh, yeah. tell you what, if you stay on my car, I'm kind of heading in that general direction. I'll point you down the alley and you can hop off there.
Okay, thank you.
And the best place to stay?
There's a few places. Just head to the centre of town. You'll find somewhere.
Shouldn't we go and speak with Seti first?
Good point. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I forget. Newcomers definitely should if you pay your respects.
Well, we should definitely go and do that first. Okay.
Okay. Well, if I drop you off here, then you carry on down this main road, and you'll get to Seti. You'll be right in the middle. When you want to get to Shalondon's Bazaar, if you just head south from there, and then there's a side turn on the right. You can't miss it. It's by the blacksmiths.
Thank you.
Thank you again. And Nasdaq will hop off the cart and checking he's got all his possessions, including his treasured book. He will then.
Thank you, Celery. Good travels.
Good travels. So you are
walk
on
into
the streets
town.
of Seti. Okay. So, you will have noticed as you entered the city, in fact, you'd have seen it well before you entered the city, this place shines. Every building has just got golden jewels and gems and filigree all around the edge of the buildings. This is a very ornate, shiny golden place. But you can follow the main road very clearly towards the centre of town, where there's a very prominent building. It's enclosed, but there are people queuing outside. That would normally your experience of these towns is the centre of town is where to go. So that building looks like the place to be.
I'll go up to the back of the queue and tap the person in front of me. Is this place for queuing to see the Seti?
As far as I know, yes.
Thank you.
That's what I'm here for, anyway.
And just wait,
Okay.
as usual.
Yeah, there's it is quite a queue. It takes a while. You're probably there a couple of hours, slowly moving up. Lots of people, including locals, are in and out of the queue.
As before, I'll keep an eye on the people in front and see what their tributes are, so we can get the right level, gauge the right level of tribute.
Okay. Make a quick eyeball check, perception check, just to see if you can peer around to see what it is.
17.
So there, it's basically just a couple of coins, couple of silvers, and a copper or two, just sort of plonked down on the floor. So not a huge amount. There are people that sort of come and sweep up, like ball boys at tennis matches. They come and sweep up the tribute and stick it somewhere safe. But there in front of you is Seti, the great golden dragon.
Greetings, mighty Seti.
Greetings. It is
Your
good to see you, travelers.
is very beautiful.
Thank you. It shines wonderfully.
And
Indeed, it is most impressive.
I'll stick 2 gold down as a tribute.
You humble me, thank you. What brings you to my great town?
We are just passing through, mighty Seti. We are on a quest to go and find someone in another place.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I am delighted that you managed to stop by and see me on your travels.
No, this is where we need to be, James.
Sorry?
This Seti is where we need to be.
Is it?
This is where the bloke is.
Yeah, yes, it is. Sorry, I thought you were just saying that in character.
No, James. This-
I'm not going to change that because
Okay.
my intelligence is 10 plus 0, so that's it.
Okay.
I've lost track of where we are or
Okay.
where we're going.
Okay. Yes, this is the place you are heading to.
Okay.
the person you are seeking
Yes.
lives here.
Indeed.
I probably wouldn't, just saying that, thinking about it, I wouldn't have said we were looking for this person, where is he, in case we do have to kill him. Don't want, the ruler of the place to know what we're here for, just in case.
Okay. Do we want to rewind that a little bit?
No, I'm happy with that.
Okay.
All right.
And is anyone going to correct him in front of?
Mazdak would just sort of look at Dalen and then look back at Sasha and Brynja, very confused. So
Bernie hasn't even noticed that there was anything wrong in what Dalen said.
Thank you for your welcome to the city, Mighty.
Seti does look at you, Mazdak. Is everything okay?
Mighty City, I was just a little confused. I think Dalen has got turned around on our
Mazdak
journey.
seeks much knowledge, so do you have any great libraries here for him to have a look through? Perhaps. If we're given permission, of course.
All are welcome in the library of...
Oh, fantastic! I should definitely go to the library then. The library.
That worked too well.
A nice distraction there.
Yeah.
The library. I've heard much of your library, and I look forward to entering and looking at the books and learning all about the things in those books. That would be fantastic.
We have permission for you.
Indeed,
of course.
and I will put 2 gold down, as I've seen Dalen do.
Thank you. Please, to the north, you will find the library and
Fantastic, thank you.
good reading.
Mazdak just leaves to the north.
There's a big grin on Seti's face.
I'll kind of lean over and place a single gold coin down. It is a pleasure to be welcome in your city. I have travelled far, and it is a wonder to see to the ice.
All are welcome here with peace.
Thank you.
I'll also put down 2 gold along with Mazdak and Dalen.
I appreciate everything. Please, you should follow your friend.
Yeah, Mazdak's out.
I'll, as we go to move, I'll turn to Sasha and Dalen. I will meet you at this library. I will seek out this Shelondon to get my arm fixed first.
I think perhaps Mazdak and I should have some time apart for a while. Maybe Dalen, you can keep an eye on him, and I'll accompany Bernia.
Very well. And I'll head up after Mazdak.
And I'll start making my way down south to where Celery suggested.
Okay. So you head straight down the south road. You see the blacksmith. You turn down the alley and you follow that for a little bit, and you find Shelondon's Bazaar. If I could remember what buttons I need to press. Hopefully.
All of them.
All of them. So, you enter the establishment, and Ash, if you could describe the scene.
Who? What?
Yeah. So as you enter, you'll see several racks with some gewgaws and other paraphernalia on them. There are some quite pretty sort of little sort of artificed items which consequently might make really good gifts for dragons. So you'll see a rather large turtle at the workbench towards the back of the shop. He's very sort of almost coppery in colour, with a very sort of draconic type snout. If you had to hazard a guess, you'd say he was probably a cross between a dragon turtle and a snapping turtle. but he's got a very large, thick set of sort of steampunk type of goggles on, and he's currently tinkering away. A bit further towards the front of the shop, you can see sort of a very small shelf with about 6 books on. And just underneath that, there's a little sort of stand on like a little gimbal mount, just slowly floating backwards and forwards with a rather ornate-looking heavy crossbow on.
Curious.
Place is interesting.
I'm fascinated by all these things, but I have no idea what they might do.
I'd be quite worried if you did, darling. So, how can I help y'all?
I take it that you are Shellondon, the
Crawl Shellington's the name. Arcane tinkering and blowing shit up is my game.
I understand some of those words. I was recommended to you. You may be able to assist me with a problem I have.
Basically,
Okay.
Bernia, he likes to make things go boom.
That bit I didn't understand.
Well, it happens sometimes, but
No.
not all
Walk over
the
to
time.
walk over to the counter and kind of reach up and disconnect my arm.
Yeah. So Carl will walk over to the counter and he'd put the sort of the small hammer down on the table, and you'd see this hammer basically just reform itself into a tiny sort of about 12-inch tall copy of him of like a turtle, and it sort of reforms itself from the hammer into a little turtle and just sort of sits on the counter looking at you.
Intriguing.
How odd.
This was damaged in a fight that we got into. I've been unable to fix it myself.
Oh, that was a good fight.
What was damaged?
My arm, as I place this mechanical arm on the counter.
So he's
It
going to basically.
is dwarven made, especially for me. It's a replacement. As I kind of motion to the stump on my right arm.
And what is it that you would like me to do with this, darling?
It is not something in it is not working properly. It does not. The fingers do not quite curl properly. It was bent, I think.
Loose connection, I would hazard a guess.
Sort of being familiar with dwarven engineering, sort of flip it over on the, and essentially sort of pop the joint on the elbow and pull it apart. Well, that's the problem right there. We don't seem to have been treating this very well. Have you kept it clean and well?
As
Well.
I can. I'm not familiar much with maintaining it.
Can I take it back into the shop and see if I can at least make it work for the time being? Because I've already got ideas on improvements for this.
But we just want to get it working at the moment. So, yeah, it was very lightly damaged, little bludgeoning damage as it hit a metal bar. If you wanted just to prod it with a screwdriver or something and make a quick, what are you proficient in that might be relevant here? Tools wise,
Tinker's tools?
Smith's tools, Tinker's tools.
if you're, yeah, I was.
Bear with me 2 seconds.
Well,
He's gone out the back to get some tools.
yeah, he's just going to fetch tools.
Do you want to do meanwhile at the library? Or okay.
He's back.
Right, so we thinking Tinker's tools?
Yep, go with the tinker tool.
Don't know if you fuck. Natural 24.
The proficiency.
Yeah, whatever that is, 22.
Well, that's a way to start with the character. Yeah, absolutely no problem. You identify the problem immediately. It's just as Sasha suggested, slightly loose connection, but you're able just to move something back in place, give it a tighten, sort of hold it up and like pull the connections at the end and watch the fingers do this as you like.
And then sort of the little dent on the side, you'll see him just slide 2 of his fingers up inside and just push the plate back out again so it stops grinding against the gears and puts the elbow joint back together, pops it back into place.
I'd be very curious to arm wrestle you sometime.
That should
Me.
be for now.
Good though. Thank you.
No,
How much?
the turtle.
It's all about leverage. I ain't too strong, but I know where to apply the pressure.
Thank you very much. How much would I owe you for this?
Oh, don't you worry about it none. I've was a 2-minute job.
Thank you for your charity. So I kind of lift it up and start kind of reattaching it.
Although I will say, if you ever want an upgrade, I'm sure I could oblige.
I would certainly consider it. It has its issues. Teleportation makes it break as well. But thank you very much. So I kind of test it and move it about.
Well,
Good as ever.
Thank you again.
if there's anything else I can do for y'all while you're in town, just come and hit me up.
I'm sure we will. It is certainly an interesting establishment you have.
Well, come on then, kids. Let's get back to work. Let's let these nice ladies get on with their day.
But meanwhile, at the library, Dallin and Mazdak head in the opposite direction towards a large building. That is the library.
Superb. I will go in and start looking around at all the books on the shelves. I'm going to do some research, actually. I'm going to see if I can find out anything about what his name is now, Leosol,
Lisa, okay.
and worship of Leosol in Grakanoria, because as far as my understanding was that they don't really do gods here, they do dragons. So
yeah.
I'm going to try and see if there's any books around that can assist me.
Okay, do a quick investigation check.
Investigation. That is 17.
Okay. Not a particularly difficult thing to find in this very library. You quickly find a small section on a few books, the history of Seti, amongst the history of other local towns. And there is a very prominent book within that section that draws your eye. You pick it up, take it to a table, sit and read it. It gives you a really great overview of the history of this town. Then it goes into a section about particularly the Tyranax, the Dragonborn you are here to see.
Right, okay, cool.
Very prominent member of the town. It briefly mentions his large estate on the edge of town. And his rise to prominence within the within the town that we're in, due to his rare acceptance as being a priest of a god. And it talks about the reluctance to allow such a high-profile priest into the town. But he spent time proving that the information he could provide as a speaker for a god of divination in protecting the town against potential threat. He would turn up with information that helped to save lives, and they slowly accepted him.
Is there any information about the time he spent away from the town?
Only in the sort of summary before getting to his acceptance into the town of he spent some years studying in Kantisha.
Right, okay.
Little detail as to what happened there.
Okay, cool.
So yes, in your research of Liasol, the only thing that really comes up is that god's connection with your target.
Cool. Dalen.
Yes.
Look at this, and I'll sort of wave the book at him and explain that this Lemintoranax is very highly regarded here, which is unusual for a priest of a god. But if you look here, and I'll go through details of him saving with information, saving many lives in the town, etc., etc. So we need to. Yes, he looks like he has an estate at the edge of town.
Well, maybe we can go and visit tomorrow.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you want to learn?
Well, I was just looking for a book on dragons. Specifically, maybe maps of the area and other nearby towns, what their dragons are like and what we can expect.
Nothing like that.
I don't really want to go back through Contarara, so we need to think of maybe another way to get back to Kantisha.
I'm sure there must be a different way we can go.
Well, we can go north to the coast and maybe get a boat, or we can go further south and cross the border further south.
Sure.
But it would be nice to know what the dragons are like in those towns, so we know what to expect.
Indeed.
I will furnish you with that information when I have established it.
Fair enough.
If you think of any questions that you do want to know, like what dragons are where, that information I haven't exactly finalized. So I can backdate you with that when we come to make that decision, or I can make something on the spot.
No worries.
If there's anything else dragon-wise that you want to know while we're here,
I can't think of anything.
Just that SETI relationships with the surrounding towns, because obviously Contarara is fairly close, as is Monta and Farsi. So just sort of a vague general what the relationships are. And if you want to leave that to the
no, that's fine. I can cover that. Basically, SETI is an exceptionally well-regarded dragon within the area and the country. The smaller sort of satellite towns to it, like Contarara that you've seen, are home to slightly more aggressive or whatnot types of dragons that generally get kept in line from causing too much bother by dragons such as SETI.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So if we could have like a friendliness rating of of the surrounding towns at some point, that would be amazing.
A star rating or a tooth rating,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. All right. Being
Trust
eaten
trust
rating.
dragon rating.
A scale.
Oh, yeah. A scale of will it eat you or not?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, when Mazdak's finished, we'll sort of wander outside and see if we can see the others.
Mazdak does not ever finish in a library.
I might be forced to sort of drag him outside by the scruff of his neck.
Sure. Okay.
Or wait till they're closed. I mean, I don't really care. I'm just sitting there quite comfortably.
Are there any books on magic here? So I know they're not overly keen on magic users here, but are there, just out of interest?
Give me another investigation check for that.
Oh, that's a 19 plus slots, which is... Hang on. Investigation plus 3, so 22.
Okay. You look around for a while, just sort of scanning spines of books, not really finding anything.
Okay. I mean,
But you do catch there is a restricted section, and that you do see the word magician or something down the spine of a book behind a cage.
Okay, cage locked.
Yeah.
Is there any librarians close?
There's one at the front desk, and there's one sort of very close to this, sort of at the back.
I'll just wander over, peer through the cage, and say to the librarian, "What's in here?"
Those are our most prized and valuable books.
Oh, that's fantastic. And how do I get access to look at these beautiful treasures?
Afraid they are only accessible with direct permission from SETI himself.
Ah. Oh, I could go ask him, couldn't I?
You could, of course.
Superb. Okay, thank you. That's great. The lock on this, is it a really heavy duty, or is it just pretty much for show?
Quick glance, it looks fairly sturdy.
Okay.
By this time, I think I'll be sort of gently snoring in the chair, having got very bored.
Okay, I will turn and I do apologise for my friend. I will take him out immediately to stop him disturbing the other scholars.
Thank you.
And I shall walk over. Daglan!
What?
You cannot sleep in a library.
Why?
You're
It's
too
so
noisy.
quiet and peaceful.
But you're making it noisy.
My apologies, brother.
We have to go.
Very well.
So we'll walk back out. So, what I found is there's some restricted books. So I want to go and see SETI and say and ask him if I can go and take a look at them.
Are you going to give him a reason why?
Because I want to read them.
Why would you want to read them?
Because they're restricted.
I think you maybe need to have a better reason to ask SETI. They're going to be restricted for a reason, for him to grant you permission.
But I want to
Maybe.
read them.
Yes.
Surely that's good enough reason.
No.
But books are meant to be read. That's the whole
If
purpose
it's
of a
meant
book.
to be read by everybody, then they'd be on common display.
Well, they're
No.
only behind the door because they're valuable.
See. Okay. Let us go and see SETI.
I will go
We
and
must have the queue for
rejoin
several
the
more.
queue.
Okay, so Sasha and Bernia, what were you doing?
I've got a feeling that Mazdak's going to be occupied for some time.
That sounds right.
Yeah, at the moment, your section's been like 5 minutes, and theirs has been like an hour and a half by the time Maztak's got to this point.
What is it with the... We came to the city for a reason.
Yes, we're looking for somebody in particular, but I don't. I think today we just establish where we're going to stay and discuss our options, perhaps. I don't want to make any plans immediately. So let's go and find somewhere where we can rest for the night.
Indeed, that sounds wise.
In a
Again-
safe place without the threat of dragons overhead.
Yes. I thank you again, Mr. Carl.
You're very welcome, darling. But just be careful, and if you don't mind my impertinence, I did overhear that you're looking for somewhere to stay, but I do know a couple of places that would be reputable for you.
I'm always intrigued by recommendations. Please do.
I'm assuming, obviously, because I've been here for a while, that I'd know all the decent places to go, especially for travellers who are...
Yeah, certainly. There's a few places sort of right on the town square, the most expensive touristy type places, but you would know the decent back street places that are going to be cheap and safe.
Do I know of a particular one that I would sort of probably frequent myself, but for a drink or...
Yes, there'll be a tavern called just the Shining Star. That'll be a local for you, and you know there's a few places to sleep there.
Y'all could go into the town square, but they're tourist traps and they'll charge you through the nose. But there's one just up the lane here that's it's called the Shining Star. I usually go in there for a few drinks, and they've got a few rooms available that much more reasonable price.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the recommendation.
If you happen to stop by tonight, perhaps we'll buy you a drink.
I've lived here for a while, and you get to know certain things.
I certainly know the taverns that were the best for drinking back home.
Do you drink, Manya?
I do. I just prefer it when the drink is served to me in a tankard, not to a cloud.
Oh, I'm sure you'll love the Shining Star. And Miss Bonia, if you ever want that upgrade I told you about, I seem to have a particular talent in combining the more arcane talents with metal chassis.
I shall consider it. Magic is not something I have, but that may be interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. And as he turns back again, you'll see that sort of like his shell's not completely smooth. There's very sort of distinct ridged plates, except for this one that's right above his neck. And sort of he reaches back and he pulls out like a big box of tools from behind his neck. But there's 4 notches in this one plate on the very top of his shell. Looks a bit strange.
Handy.
I've got all sorts. Well,
shall we go find a drink and wait the couple of hours it will take Mazdak to finish eating?
Yes, I really want to appreciate some alcohol right now.
Okay.
Head out to the Shining Star.
Okay. You can find that pretty easily. It's a really nice old-looking pub, nice dark wooden beams and things. Obviously, gold studs all over the place. All the bolts and things on show are just gold. But you can go in and grab a couple of drinks and settle down. Are you going to try and get word to Mazdak and Dalen as to where you are?
I suppose I'd better find them, otherwise they'll end up at some no good, expensive hole in the ground.
Yes, that would be wise, actually.
Keep the table for us. I'll be back shortly.
Okay.
So, Sasha, you head back, winding your way through the town, back the way you came. You get back to the square. You see Mazdak and Dalen halfway through the queue again to go and see Seti.
Why?
Well, in the
You
library.
muted.
You did.
Sorry. Well, in the library, there's a section of books that are behind a lock, and I want to read them.
Of course you do.
But apparently, you need to get direct permission from Seti himself. So, hence the queue.
And you think you'll get it?
Can't see why not.
They're probably restricted for a reason.
Yes, they're very valuable.
I'm sure it's not just that.
That's what the librarian said.
Well, myself and Bernier have found a decent, reputable inn to stay in. It's called the Shining Star, so when you're finished queuing,
Of course.
you can
Dalen,
come and
if
meet
you
us
wish
there.
to go, because you were... Dalen fell asleep in the library and was snoring, so he had to leave. So
I'll sort of smirk somewhat, but I won't say
you should
anything.
probably take Dalen and go back to the inn so he can have a little snooze, and I'll be fine.
If you're sure, Mazdak.
Of course.
Very well.
I'll give Mazdak directions to the inn.
I could
Perfect,
use some food.
Okay.
I'll order you a water.
Perfect, thank you.
Come, Dalen.
Okay. So,
I think time for a well-deserved drink.
Yes.
okay. So you two go and make your way back to the Shining Star, and Mazdak continues to queue.
Yep.
Thing going on in the pub.
I probably walked in, gone to the bar to get myself and Sasha drinks.
Beer and a whiskey.
A beer, a whiskey, and an ale.
Sasha or Dalen, on your way back, you can see places starting to close up, just to give you an idea of the time. Sort of getting into that evening. Mazdak, you queue for a while and you make it back to the front. And so he gives a big grin as he sees you.
Your library is fantastic. I really like it. It's very good. There are lots and lots of books. There are, however, some books that I would like to read, but they are behind a locked door. And apparently I need to get your express permission, I think they said. Yes, express permission to go and read them. So could I have your express permission to go and read them, please?
I cannot give permission to such newcomers to the town, but it is reserved for long-term members.
Oh.
I'm afraid. I'm sure you understand. Security.
No, I understand. Completely. If it was anybody else, I would be completely understanding. But it is me, and I do have rather a lot of books, and I do love books, and I love information. So, how would I get your permission? Or do I have to live here for like years or something?
Well, maybe not live here, but if you visited me often.
Okay. That I can definitely do.
Good. And perhaps we could discuss some of the knowledge that you learn along the way.
I did learn. Yes, that would be excellent. I've learned many different things. But yes, the opportunity to learn from one such as yourself would be fantastic.
How is this your first visit to Brecanoria?
It is. It is. Can you? Is it that obvious?
It can be obvious for some.
Okay. But I
But your sheer excitement to be here is
yes,
both
absolutely.
telling and infectious.
Absolutely. I just wish to learn from everything. I like particularly learning from books, but I do sort of understand your point of security. So I could, yes, there may be people who wish to damage or even steal the books, which would be a horrific thing to have done to any book, no matter how valuable or not. All books are valuable. Not quite sure how the ones are more valuable than others, but I suppose it depends on the contents, I suppose. Yes, that would be my criteria for a valuable book.
And rarity.
Well, yes, but then you could just copy it down and make another copy. It's
Some books are so precious that we do not allow them to be copied.
oh. Huh. So, if you can't copy them, how do you get more people to read them?
Well,
Because a copy obviously would be that means you could preserve the original for the long-term members of your library, and the copy could be put on the normal shelves for other people to use. Therefore, preserving your security. And yeah, I could certainly copy one of your books if you wish.
that is quite all right. We have scholars that could do that if we choose to, but we do not.
Oh, okay. Well, it was very nice to speak to you again, Seti.
You too.
I'm obviously a little disappointed about not being able to read the books, but I will return until I can.
I would love to see you again.
Perfect. I will queue up tomorrow. Mazdak will bow and just wander off.
Okay. You were given directions to the pub that the others are staying
I
at.
might have remembered them.
This is why I ask. Do you want to make an intelligence check to see if you can
Sure.
remember?
Why not? So 17. Intelligence is +3, so that's 20.
Yeah, no problem. It looked like it went in one ear and out the other, but it did get scripted down on its way through.
Indeed.
And you follow the path south to the blacksmiths, and then right down the alley, and so on and so on, and you get to the Shining Star.
Perfect. I'll sort of wander in, sort of look for my companions. Looking for Dalen, really, because he's the biggest, so he's the easiest to spot. And seeing them, I will go across and join them.
Oh, minor detail I forgot to mention. The smiths that you have been passing is in a state of disrepair and is not in business at the moment. It looks like there was a fire.
Oh, okay.
Everywhere's closed at this time of the evening anyway, Mazdak, so you know where would be open. But the others might have realised. So, you're all now in the pub in the evening.
So, interesting information that I learned about in the library. There is a section where you have to get permission from Seti to go and read. So, I asked Seti, and he bizarrely decided that I was not allowed to have permission to read these books. So, what I have to do is come back a lot and talk to him, and then when I've talked to him enough, I will be allowed to read books.
Somehow I can fathom it won't take you as long as maybe he would originally have intended for him to give you permission.
Well, quite. I'm a scholar. I should be allowed to look at any book that I like. I'm sure that we will have long and interesting conversations. He seems very nice and quite clever. Oh, and I found some interesting information about the gentleman we are come to see.
Now that is interesting.
Well, of course. And I will explain that if I can remember his name again. Lamin Taranax. Lamin has an estate on the outside of town. He's very popular here. He has saved many lives with information. I mean, generally dragons don't really get in, and this Greconoria doesn't really do gods. But he has proved his worth by the god of Leosol, the god of divination, and they've given him lots of information so that he could, prevent catastrophes, etc.
Sounds like a good person.
Certainly does.
Yes. Which makes me very
Nervous.
indeed.
I don't see why.
Well, the Grand Master wants us to
Tickle him?
Shave his neck beard.
Ah, give him a shave. Fair enough.
Perhaps something that can be considered better.
Yes, a conversation for another time, perhaps.
Yes, I think so. But I think it is also our choice. We do not have to do this thing.
I mean,
I think we need to speak to him first and make our own mind up.
I agree.
maybe.
On other terms, Mazdak, I met someone you may be interested in today.
You did?
Celery suggested that I find this Shelondon's Bazaar.
Yes, to get your arm.
I met
Well,
a very peculiar looking dragonborn in there.
It's a turtle, darling.
I'm not familiar. Sorry. A turtle
Turtle.
in there who he says he specializes in things such as arcane and infusions. He talked to me about improving my arm, which could be interesting if I had the money.
Did he have any books at all?
Yes, he did.
Perhaps I should go and visit with him. Where is he, do you say?
I think his place is closed for the evening.
Oh, okay. Well, after I've seen Seti in the morning, perhaps I will go and see this turtle fellow.
Would I
So-
know turtles?
Toodles.
And on and on and on into the future.
So it's like two mirrors looking at each other.
Portal
I
section.
just went onto the stream and normally it just defaults to being muted and it didn't. So then it ended up coming and feedbacking. So, turtles. Bernia, you will have heard of turtles. They are natively from Balfos Land, which is a country on the west coast of your continent. Same goes with you, Sasha.
Right.
Your continent, they are from there.
I mean, I've travelled about so much, I've probably met most things.
Exactly, yeah.
I was just playing off of the fact that I've not travelled outside of Valaya much.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time
You
military.
may not have met one before, but you'd have heard of the existence of these large tortoise creatures. Dalen, probably not. They're not very common here. They tend to stick to their own country. Having one outside of that is unusual. Same for you, Master. I probably haven't met one before.
Okay.
So I'd suspect you'd have at least read of things like other races.
Yep.
So what is Tortle?
Well,
Says-
it's a large humanoid with tortoise-like features or turtle-like features, usually with a shell.
Big, large shell on the back that I believe they can retreat into. They're sort of reptilian, I suppose. It depends on the type of turtle. This one seemed quite dragon turtle to me. Just a little.
Hence why I mistook him for Dragonborn.
But yes, the shell on their back is almost like a very heavy shield that they carry with them at all times.
I see.
He frequents in here, apparently, so maybe we'll see him tonight.
Grol, feel free to wander in whenever you, if you are going to do so.
He'd probably wander in and take up his usual table right in the corner of the room. Gives him a good view of everything, and nobody's behind or to the side of him. He'd probably just sort of like very slowly and unhurriedly just walk over and sit down. And he'd just sort of put his hand up and wave over at the bar, and they'd know to bring his usual evening meal and drink.
Speak of the turtle.
There he is.
You can say he's big. He's like
Fascinating.
6'6" and about 4 foot across.
I think he could probably fit in his shell. Mazdak?
Very probably. I am quite small.
I saw him pull a toolbox out of there that was almost as big as you were.
When they bring it over, sort of he'd put Kez, the little sort of what looks like a mechanical turtle, on the table, and then he'd pull out sort of like this tiny little sort of tankard that would be a good size for Kez, dip it in his beer, and then put it down in front of the little turtle.
Can I?
Banya, did you secure us some rooms, or should I go and do that?
No, I only bought drinks for now, and we should probably do that.
Dalen, are you okay sharing of Mazdak?
Yes, that is fine. But I need food.
Banya, are you happy to share with me?
I have. It's fine.
Well, we're going to get us 2 rooms then. And I'll go up and order some food for our table, another round of drinks, and secure 2 rooms. And then
Yeah.
also buy beer for Kral. Or whatever he's drinking.
Yeah, fair enough. Just mark a gold off for that, including rooms. That's all fine. This is a relatively cheap place. Hence why Grol can afford to eat and drink here every night.
Fair enough.
I'll just sort of salute him when his drink gets to his table.
So is anyone doing anything, discussing anything, plotting anything?
I don't think so. Not in a tavern.
When the
Later in rooms or something. But
yeah after the Mazdak has eaten some food, I'm just going to go and study for a while. So take the key to one of the rooms. and I will see you later.
Very well.
Walk
Stay
up.
out of trouble, Mazdak.
I'm never in trouble. I always get you out of trouble. And I'll walk up to the room, sit in the room, and I want to write a couple of questions in my book.
Okay.
So I want to write. The first question is was SETI telling the truth about why the books are restricted?
Trying to grab a.
Oh, hello. You can send me a message, are you?
Maybe I'm trying to just work out the. Yeah, okay, well, I've written that out, so I might as well just paste it to you. Message. There you go, that's what comes back.
Ooh.
And now Charles and I are going to have a textual conversation. So you
So I'm going to ask another question. I'm going to ask that question.
Okay. Right.
Is he sexting his book?
Maybe. Do you like me?
Education for the Mazdak Nation.
Because I don't know whether you picked up on this, but the responses that you get are always limited.
Yeah.
Have you figured out the connection as to the limitation of it?
Not yet.
Okay. So, right, where did I put here?
I broke the DM. Sorry. I apologise.
There you go. Make of that what you will.
Wow. Okay.
Feeling that the DM's messing with him.
Okay, I'm going to sit and study that.
Yeah. Does that at least make sense in the context of what you asked?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you also get one final message
Oh,
through.
okay, cool.
just because me reasons.
Okay.
There you go.
Fair. Okay. That's fine.
Just to,
Yep.
you know.
Yep. Got it. Cool. So I will sort of sit and sort of stare at the page for a bit, even though the words have faded already. Sit and stare at the pages for a long time until I close my book, fold my arms over it on my chest and go to sleep.
The rest of you doing anything?
No, have a few ales and a bite to eat and then head up to bed.
Few whiskies, few beers.
Few whiskeys, few beers. Very good. So, Graal, I presume you'll head home at some point? Okay. Come the morning, you will wake up and are, free to do what you do in the mornings. Tell you what, that seems like a reasonable place to take a quick break just to grab drinks and things.
Okie dokie. Sounds like a plan. Right, yes, okay, we'll be right back after these messages. and welcome back. Hope you enjoyed your little break to get a drink. We certainly did. Okay, I'll hand you back over to our DM.
Okay, so the morning comes. Everyone's had a good night's sleep, and you begin to head down for some breakfast.
Yep.
As you do so, there's a little bit of noise going on outside, a little bit of chatter going on in the bar area. You
Imagine I would be down quite early.
Yeah. Okay. There seems to have been an incident overnight.
Oh, okay. What kind of incident? I'm going to listen very carefully.
A rather large fire broke out.
Interesting. Whereabouts was the fire?
It seems to have been Shalondon's Bazaar.
Huh.
Or Shellondon. You'll have to tell me how to actually pronounce that. Either or. Yeah, that seems to be the chatter, that there was a fire at Shellondon's.
This was the person you spoke with yesterday, yes?
Yes, it is. Perhaps
What a
we should-
shame. There's so
Perhaps we
many
should
interesting
go.
things there. Come to think of it,
Perhaps-
wasn't the blacksmiths desecrated by a fire lately? Certainly looked like it from the outside. Perhaps there's some kind of arsonist around.
Brynja's gaze just kind of goes off into the distance a bit. You know, since yes, perhaps we should go and see if we can be of help. He's done a kindness to me.
On my walk through the city, and in the queue, have I seen any red dragonborn at all?
Make a history check. See if you can remember.
Blimey, I'm rolling well tonight. That doesn't bode well for the fighting later. History. Got a +5 to that, so it's 23.
Okay. You have seen a few red dragonborn, not as many as other colours or metals, but nobody seemed like to think that that was unusual.
Didn't Celery say that... just look around, there aren't any red dragonborn around at all.
Not at the moment, no.
Didn't Celery say that the red dragonborn were a little enthusiastic with fire and to be sort of avoided? If
I mean,
possible?
it's possible, but I find it hard to believe a dragon such as Seti would let that behaviour go.
Well,
unchecked.
I have seen red dragonborn around in town. And as we have experienced ourselves, they're not exactly shy, retiring types, shall we say.
No.
Huh.
But I feel for the turtle. His business seemed quite
And
intriguing.
there were books in there, so we should go and make sure that anything has survived. I'm presuming he has survived.
Your priorities are strange, but it is certainly something we should do.
But as you know where this place is, you should probably lead on.
Very well.
Once we've eaten, head on out.
Okay. So you make your way to an unpleasant scene. The shop front that you'd seen before is blackened and burned. As you step inside, there's ash everywhere.
Yeah, you'd see a very
Amongst-
large,
Yeah,
very
amongst
pissed
the
off.
ash.
Yeah, the very large, very pissed off, sort of, as I said before, very coppery, sandy-coloured skinned turtle he's very clearly got burns down his arms and legs. But the gimbal mount you saw before, he's remarkably untouched, as is the shelf. There's sort of half melted bits and bobs everywhere, and there's a couple of sort of intact silver and gold coloured sort of mechanical dragons, and on the counter you the very large, very strange looking cross, like projectile weapon, I'll say.
I'm so sorry, Crawl. Do you know what has happened?
Oh, I suspect that some, well, Bradley, I'm not really sure, but I'm sure that we'll find out one of these days. Either way, I think it's time for me to move on. And he's just picking bits and bobs up and putting them sort of like behind his neck, and he's just picking more and more stuff up, and you just putting it behind his neck. It looks like it's going into the shell.
So, did you manage to recover all of your artifacts and books?
I mean, the important stuff is always safe.
Right. So you got books then. Good.
Mm-hmm.
This is Mazdak. He's very into books.
Indeed. Books are very important.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with being into books, but there's yeah, well, there's as long as you're not trying to steal people's books.
Well, obviously not. That would be
That
wrong.
would be somewhat irksome.
Books should be freely available to everyone. There should be no need to steal a book.
There's a bunch of these sort of small, sort of gold and silver mechanical-looking sort of dragons. You get the sense that they would make very good sort of gifts for the various dragon tributes that you need to give, and you just sort of indicate to the sort of 8 or 9 that's on the counter. Y'all can take a couple each if you like. I mean, they'll probably come in handy for tributes and such. I mean,
Can we assist you in any way?
darling, I don't think you can, but I mean, I'll be leaving here soon, so I mean, if y'all don't mind a traveling companion for a while.
Is there... Can I tell whether this fire was magically started? Well, I'm quite willing to...
Walk me through what you're doing. How are you checking?
So, being familiar with fire, magically created fire, it doesn't have to have a set, tinder point. So, I'd like to first cast Detect Magic, see if there's any residual traces of magic.
Okay.
And then investigate to see if I can see there's an obvious starting point for arson, or in the natural way, or as in somebody setting a fire rather than somebody fireballing. So
yeah. Okay. Give me an investigation check to begin with.
So I've investigation 16 plus investigation, which is 19.
Okay. So the detect magic pings off, and you get little pops from various items on people. Nothing goes off around the shop itself. And your investigation, you actually find a couple of sort of charred out torch-looking things. Things have been lit and thrown in.
So, good news. It was not a magical blast that affected your shop.
I didn't think it was.
But it's worth checking, I think, just to see. It looks like somebody threw these, and I'll point to the torches.
I know. And they got a unhappy surprise, as you can see over there. And you can see several sort of distinct impacts from crossbow bolts.
Do you know how to work that crossbow? I'm assuming you do.
Darling, I made that crossbow.
Yes, but just because somebody can make something doesn't mean they can wield it. I've known many a blacksmith who can't throw an axe for toffee.
Maybe one of these days y'all get to see it, but perhaps not today.
I mean, by all means, if you want a travelling companion, we do nothing but travel at the moment, I think.
Well,
I can vouch they are interesting to travel with, these three.
perhaps we'll see, won't we? Now, if y'all have got business to conclude in SETI, I could wait for y'all at the Shining Star, or if y'all need any assistance, happy to help.
Well, I need to go and speak with SETI to secure access to the library. And then we have to
I mean,
visit with someone.
y'all can just walk in the library. You don't need
No,
SETI's permission for that.
I need actual permission to view the restricted area of books.
Oh, that makes sense.
So I did ask yesterday, but was told that I needed to visit more with SETI. So one of your golden dragons may assist in this. Thank you very much.
Not to put too fine a point on it, my scholarly friend, that talking to SETI for 2 days ain't gonna be the kind of time that
probably will
is
be.
required.
I can be very persuasive.
Persuasive, badger him into submission would probably be more likely from just judging from the conversation
not
that's
at all.
going on.
Not at all. Not at all.
Sasha's just giggling to herself in the corner.
In fairness, there have been people that have lived here for years that still do not have access to the restricted section of the library.
In fairness, they're probably not as clever as me.
That's quite arrogant, but
Yes, I do understand that he's fairly arrogant, yes. But nonetheless, it is very true.
I very much doubt that.
Well, you, of course, may doubt it, but, you know, you've known me for about an hour.
Oh no, I can confirm you are very arrogant.
Indeed. And you're very rude, so we get on very well.
Okay, so, do you need assistance, or should I just finish up and wait?
Well,
for
you're
you to
welcome
start?
to come with us. We're going to visit with Laminta Rornax.
Laminta Rornax. Now, why on this earth do you want to bother a fella like that?
We're not going to bother him. We're going to have a little chat. But of course, you are welcome to stay in the inn, and we can meet you when we get back.
I'm guessing that because I've been here for a while, I would probably know quite a lot about Laminta Rornax.
Certainly would, yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, you know that last week when the blacksmith burnt down was, and probably will be with this similar situation, a bit of an outcry in that direction as to why he didn't warn anyone.
Yeah. I do know that some people were rather displeased that Laminta Ranax didn't warn the blacksmith that his business was going to be burned down. Similarly, I received no prior warning.
Perhaps we should go and ask him.
How would this man know beforehand?
Well, as I did say yesterday, he is a priest of Leosol, the god of divination. Divination of looking to the future to find out what could possibly happen.
He's a seer of some talent, and
I see.
he has been responsible for the saving of many lives. Particularly while I've been here, I've experienced this on a few occasions.
This is part of the reason why we are here, Damon.
So
To speak to him about the insight on the rifts.
he's a well-respected gentleman.
I'm sorry. Should we be telling everybody that we meet at exactly what we're going to do?
I mean, you didn't tell me exactly what your plans
Well,
were.
quite. But now we've meet this person, which I'm sure is a lovely and accommodating, good-willed person, and we're just telling him exactly all of our plans. Whereas we haven't told Bernia all of our plans yet, and we've known her for far longer. You seem to show an incredible lack of judgment. Wouldn't you agree, Dalen?
There is an old adage that says slip, sink ships.
Quite.
I've never been on a ship, so I'm not sure what it means, but
Loose lips, uncorked powder kegs.
why would someone uncork a powder keg with their mouth?
This doesn't seem to make it much sense, but again, I am not a sailor, so I've only ever been on one boat. I was very small, so. But the plan so far is to go and see the Minteronax. We can ask about his divination skills and see if he will talk to us about our mission, which, for the benefit of those that don't know and everybody else around, is to investigate the rifts.
That won't mean anything to anybody here.
You never know. The rifts may not be just contained into one space. They may be worldwide.
Well, I'll join you all just to make sure that the niceties are observed with Laminta Ranax.
If you have lived here for as long as you say, then having someone to introduce would be wise.
Well, are y'all going now or in a while?
Are you guys still in the remains of the shop?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. So, I know he has an estate outside of town. Whereabouts is that?
Would I know which part? I would know which part of town, wouldn't I?
Up north.
Yeah. So as a very last thing, sort of like he'll just collapse down the gimbal mount, fold up the legs, and then again just push it into the behind his neck.
I will pick up a couple of the dragon ornaments because they're pretty.
And he'll scoop.
I'll get a couple as well.
Yeah, so
I'll take one as a souvenir.
Do you
he'll scoop-
prefer to be known but as Kral, or?
I mean, my old buddies used to call me Buckshot. I was a cannon maker by trade.
Intriguing nickname. Buckshot it is. Buckshot, this is Dalen. I don't think you've been formally introduced yet.
Nice to meet you, brother. You're the first of your kind that I have encountered, so this is an interesting day.
Oh, my people are quite insular. I left them quite young.
I think Dalen's the only one here who can make up to your rather formidable size.
Oh, I'm a bit.
Dalen's nearly 7 foot tall.
Yeah, it's fine.
Dalen's taller, Carl's wider.
It's certainly an experience going from a place where I was the tallest around to being much shorter than most.
And what I will say is this crossbow is sized for Kral, so it's going to be probably about 3.5 feet long. And there's a distinct sort of metal canister mounted on the top of the barrel. You can't see any method where a string would ping forward, but there is a trigger mechanism.
I think that thing's large enough to send Mazdak into the air.
Are you being heightist again?
Yeah, it's pick on Mazdak.
Saying it's a rather large crossbow.
So essentially he swings this huge sort of coat around that sort of comes around his shoulders, his arms, and comes down, but doesn't. There's like a slit in the back of it that goes around the shell. Got a thick pair of rawhide gloves, big sort of wide-brimmed sort of cowboy type hat, and he just mounts his goggles on the top of the hat.
Cool.
So, shall I lead on?
Indeed.
By all means, Buckshot.
So, as you're leaving, Carl, can you just make a quick perception check?
Yeah, of course I can. That would be 19.
Okay. So, the other side of the alley to where your shop front is, you can see some black smudges on the wall. When you go over, you realise there's some writing.
Yeah.
The message. And it says very terrible handwriting with some spelling mistakes.
Yeah.
Viggs will always find you.
I thought it was going to say turtles go home.
Yeah. And then sort
Romanus
of
Aunt Thomas. What?
We don't welcome your top round here.
Sorry, what did it say?
Viggs will always find you.
yeah.
Viggs. VIGS.
Yes.
And he'll sort of produce a small vial out of his hand, rub it sort of the gel on his hand, and wipe across it, and you'll just start to see it bubble. And the message sort of is smudged and basically dissolved beyond recognition. Well, he'll try. And then just carry on walking off towards the in the direction of Liminter Arnax's estate.
Okay.
I like this guy.
Which guy, Viggs?
No.
So, in the trail of Buckshot, you follow him. Mazdak, are you stopping to talk with Seti this morning? Or are you carrying on with the group?
I'm going to carry on with the group for just now, because I think it's important that I get to talk to Lermy.
Okay.
I can just imagine as Mazdak's going past and be like, "Don't worry, Seti, I'm going to come and see you later on today."
Possibly.
So you make your way north through the town, past the library, through a housing estate, and the road begins to open up, and you can see, kind of outside the main of the city, a very large manor on the edge of town, with a very nice path walking up to it.
Okay, are there any guards or anything around?
No guards, no
Okay.
no gates. So following Buckshot, you presumably head up to the front door,
Yep.
and there's a big knocker. If anyone's gonna knock, that was some good knocking.
Not.
It sounded more like drumming, actually. There was like kick drum and snare there. Okay, so there's a loud bang on the door, and you wait for a minute, and then you can just about hear some shuffling, and from behind the door, you hear a tired voice come. Who is it?
It's Kral Shellenden, Lemintoranax, and I've got some people here who would very much like to talk to you.
I'm very busy, very tired. Who are these people, Kral?
I don't rightly know, sir, but they say that they've come to talk to you about some kind of rifts that are appearing in. Where did you say that these were
We
appearing?
didn't.
That might be a piece of information that you would provide the gentleman
Indeed,
with.
I will.
Now.
So, Mr. Lemintoranax, my name is Mastak, and my companions and I have been...
The door opens.
Hello.
I've seen you all,
Really? Gosh, that's exciting.
and I haven't. But seems a little confused. Right. Please bear with me. I have a raging child to attend
Sure.
to.
Okay,
Apologies.
not to worry.
Understandable.
So, this second and
Maybe we
unenforced group-
can describe our characters to Ash. while
Oh,
we're
yeah.
waiting.
Sure.
Go on. You start.
So Sasha is humanoid looking. She is 5'7". She's got long, straight brown hair and amber eyes, and she carries a really great sword with her on her back, but she does not wear armor.
Mastak is completely bald. He looks quite young. He's got sort of silvery grey skin and long pointed ears. He's 3'2", so he's very tiny. And he has sort of wizard robes, but they're not really high quality wizard robes. They're sort of homemade. And he carries a large bag and books. Lots of books. He does have a staff. It doesn't have a knob on the end yet because it's not a proper wizard staff yet.
It's just a stick, in other
It's
words.
just a big stick.
Yeah, Sasha's clothing all kind of looks quite high quality, though well worn. So it looks like she's been using it for some time, but it is from a high quality place.
Dalen's about 7 foot tall, built like a brick shithouse. A face like he's run into a brick wall, and great big orc tusks. He's a half orc,
Nice.
but he's half orc, half Goliath.
Nice.
So he's sort of big guy, but the sort of person that you'd see on a road and you cross the street to walk along the other side.
But yeah, when he speaks, he sounds nothing like he looks.
No. He's very cultured.
Ernie's a very tired-looking half-elf. He's got ginger hair. It's got streaks and flecks of grey throughout her. She wears this kind of dark red and brown armor that looks more like a uniform than it is any tailor-made armor, though there's no symbolism left on it. And of course, she's got this mechanical prosthetic right arm made of brass and bronze that is it's very well made and definitely dwarven in origin.
Yeah. Given Kroll's technical background, he would know very well what dwarven craftsmanship looks like.
She has a big fuck-off sword on her back that looks like it has cut something on every inch of the blade. So
Nice.
everything about Bernier is tired and well
Well
used.
used.
My greatsword, however, is brand spanking new.
She also does have what looks like a very nice looking amulet she wears around her neck, which is it's got a runic pattern of a tree on it. It stands out the most as probably the cleanest and newest thing she has.
So, dog alert. Need to let her out.
So as we walked along with this big coat that Kroll's got, you probably see on the inside of it, there's a twin book
We're
holster
having
under his
a
left
little
armpit.
break, Martin.
On the right hand side,
apparently
there's a
given
set
some
of vials,
major grief.
and each one is has got like a different coloured liquid.
So Martin's been called
in.
out to assist.
But you can't see sort of any bag, tools, nothing. But every time he needs something, he'll reach behind his neck and just pull it out.
I think Mazdak would be very intrigued by the double book holster under the armpit.
Yeah, I must have missed that bit. Sorry, I was talking to.
Yeah, I was just saying that sort of as you walked along, if you were paying attention to him, you'd notice that the big coat has got sort of like a built-in double book holster under the left armpit. On the right-hand side, there's a sort of like a rack with a set of vials. But he has no other, apart from the crossbow, which is sort of mounted on a hook that's on sort of driven into the shell, almost like a proper harness to hold it.
Cool.
He hasn't got anything with him. It's literally like everything he's picked up, he just put behind his neck, and looks like he just got dropped into the shell.
Fair enough. Shell of holding. Right, well, as we don't know how long Martin is going to be, what I'll do is I'll put the session
Music.
on a break, put some music on, so the lovely people at home have got something to jiggle about to. So let's
How tall is Sasha?
5'7".
5'7". Okay. I was going to say, if she was similar to Bernier around 6 foot, we could have called the group Mazdak and the Giants.
That would be quite funny.
Because Bernier's 6 foot, which is pretty decently tall.
Right, I put it on a break then. we're back again. Thanks for bearing with us. Cranky
Okay.
babies are cranky. This happens.
So, Nasdaq, I believe you mentioned your name.
Yes, I did.
Lemintoranax opens the door with a confused look, saying, I know you. We've never met.
How do you know us if we've never met?
Again,
I-
divination.
I mean, he's good at seeing things. We did mention this.
Yeah, some sort of vision, I would imagine.
But
Please come in. We should talk.
Thank you. I'll go in.
So he just walks back into the house. He
I'll
just turns
just
the spot and walks
follow him.
to the house, takes a left into a lovely open room, high ceiling. This is the typical wonderful scene with a big fireplace, and there's like several armchairs and couches arranged around it. And he goes and sits down in presumably his favourite chair. And he just sort of looks at each of you as you sort of wander on by.
So,
With it.
we've been sent by the Mage Council of Cantisha to request any information that you have about rifts in time that are appearing all over Cantisha, as far as we know so far. They may be widespread in other lands, we don't know. But Grandmaster Stanyard, whom I believe you know, has asked us to come and talk to you to see if you have any information that could be pertinent to combating these rifts.
Well, no surprises, Stanyard couldn't face seeing me himself. But I have foreseen your arrival. And I saw a different empty door. The art of divination is interesting. Does anybody know of it and its workings?
No.
Well, I know a little.
A little.
Not as much as yourself, obviously. But I know the meaning of the word divination. I've
Good start.
read a little about Liasol, who's the obviously god of divination. And I can see that it is not really a science as such, more of an art, as you say.
from what I understand, it can be unreliable at times. Certain actions that people take or do not take may change a timeline, as it were.
I would imagine a lot of this is also down to interpretation.
Well, there are those that pursue divination by their own means. And yes, these methods are open to interpretation and unreliable. What I do, what I see, is not. Liasol grants me perfect visions, things that will come to pass.
I
If
just
I-
blast him in the face. No, I don't really. Sorry.
And he's like, I knew you were going to do that.
Yeah. I couldn't
I
help
just
myself.
chose not to act. So,
Forgive me, Lementor but something seems to be troubling you.
well, we will get to that. Now, to explain further, if I were to pick up a ball and throw it to you, I, through my knowledge and my senses, would be able to judge exactly how high I needed to throw it and with what power I would throw it in order to land it in the position that I wanted it to be. This is a form of future reading. We can tell what future is going to happen by our knowledge and our senses of the present. Does this make sense?
Absolutely.
Now, if you were to have infinite knowledge and infinite senses, you could predict everything. This is what Leosol does. Leosol then passes me. Yes, I know what you're going to say. You're right. There's no such thing as free will. Get over it. What? However, what has happened has clouded the mind of Leosol. He gives me visions that are duplicated and contradictory, and I see things that don't happen, and I don't see things that do happen. Whatever is happening with the world, with these rifts, and yes, I believe it's worldwide, it's clouding even the vision of Leosol, which I believed to be infallible.
That's disconcerting.
You know of the Smiths that burned down?
We heard, yes.
We did see the building, the same as happened to Backshot's shop.
Carl, no. Your shop too.
It's fine.
I do not see these things.
It was about time for me to move on anyway.
You have served this town well.
It's kind of you to say.
So, this is the state of things. Are there any questions before I continue?
When did this start occurring?
When did the first rift appear? 4
I'm
weeks
not entirely
ago?
sure.
4 weeks ago. Okay.
I'm thinking, was it something like that? I think so.
Just looking up. Yep.
There's probably figures thrown in somewhere.
Have
About 4
you
weeks.
warned SETI about this? Because I know there's been a bit of grumbling because you did not see the incident with the blacksmith. I mean, he could smooth things over for a while.
I've spoken with SETI, of course. How could I not? Kral, by the way, you would know that Limitiranax is a descendant of SETI, he is a golden dragonborn.
Yeah.
But my power to help people has been diminished by whatever is happening.
So, if I get this straight, your divine gift handed to you by Leosol is being fed incorrect information from Leosol because the rifts are clouding his ability. Is that right?
So, in my analogy of throwing you a ball, if I throw the ball exactly as I believe it needs to be thrown in order to land in your hand, but something after I have released the ball, something appears in the way to block the ball, it will never reach its destination. Therefore, my prediction of the future was accurate at the time it was predicted, but something outside of my knowledge has occurred to stop that from happening.
So, in effect, Leosol is unaffected by this.
But things are appearing in the way.
But, yes, these rifts are causing blockages between him and you.
In effect.
So,
Or they're manipulating the message.
well, possibly we don't know how the rifts are affecting everything. We know certain information about the rifts, and the fact that I and others have travelled through a rift, which was interesting. Basically, we could go through a rift that sent us back in time, and then we were unable to affect the future by changing things whilst back in that timeline. We would come back to step out through the rift again, and nothing was affected.
Divergent timelines, then.
Sorry?
Divergent timelines.
Yes, quite possibly. So, when the rifts closed again, the effects wore off over time. So, but this doesn't appear to be the case here, because even though there is no rift that we know about, there may well be somewhere else. There is no rift that we know about currently operating, and yet you are still getting incomplete or missing information. That is very interesting.
But, like you say, there may be rifts deep into jungles that
Yes, quite.
are affecting things that we never see.
Indeed.
From what we've been able to see, the rifts form almost ripple-like effects. The next 3 days, was it, Mazdak?
4, I believe. Yeah, I think it was 4 days.
There is something else. Something that I think Liasol is trying to nest a message within the visions. I keep seeing a figure. It took me a while to spot it. In my peripheral of these visions, there is somebody there. I don't know if this is the cause, if this is an enemy, if this is an ally, somebody we need information from, but every vision they are there.
Could you describe this person?
I could do one better. And sort of just waves a hand, and between you, like on the coffee table, is this minor illusion form with this large furry creature, long arms, bipedal, armoured, swords on the back, crossed over, but these long arms and hairy.
So doesn't look like anything like the person that was impersonating.
No,
What
you're right, yeah.
his name was. Yeah, but it doesn't look like him. Okay, cool.
So
Ignacio.
Sorry?
Was it Ignacio?
Yeah. So immediately, none of you recognize who this person is.
Okay.
Some of you may recognize the species, at least. This is a bugbear. Let me just double check that. No, can't do it. Yes. So yeah, these long arms, very large stature.
Okay.
Dalen, you are muted.
Yes,
Can you make a religion check, please?
I certainly can. That is rough for religion. 18.
Cool. So the figure itself comes with this sort of black cloak, but it's not made of a material. It's sort of misty and cloudy and shimmers and moves. in a very odd way. Something about how that moves is very Vastro to you.
Right.
And from the legends that you've heard, what did you get, an 18?
18, yeah.
Is this Jakoto?
Bugbear.
This is a name that's Mazdak has been passed before, and you recognized as the High General of Vastro. And now this figure appears in illusion form, which feels like that figure fits the bill from the legends that you've heard of the boots on the ground general of Vastro, the god of death.
Mm.
I assume
Do you know?
this figure. I assume I don't have any recognition of this figure myself.
No, you wouldn't know.
Dalen, do you know this person?
Why would you think I know this person?
Well, you looked interested. Intrigued, even.
But of course.
I mean, I don't know who it is. Anybody know who that could be?
Means nothing to me.
No.
The illusion drops. That was the figure that is just gnawing at me. But other than this, I'm not sure what I can tell you. The only reason I let you in is because I've had a vision of you. But I've also had a vision of you not there, which is odd.
So, one more question. The Grandmaster, Stanyard, seemed to be quite upset with you. And in fact, actually asked us to kill you.
Beg your pardon?
Well, he said that after we talked to you, we should kill you. Now, I don't think that's a very good idea, personally.
No, I really don't think that sounds like
Because
a good idea at all.
Even though this person is a Grandmaster and on the council, I don't think this is a good idea. What do you think, everyone?
Well, while I wasn't necessarily going to be the first thing on my mind, I wasn't necessarily planning on discussing it right here, right
Well,
now.
I think information is information. We need as much information as we can. And sorry, go ahead.
You're oddly polite for someone who's discussing killing me.
Oh, I'm actually not going to kill you. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm just giving you more information to maybe you could protect yourself some more, because this. I mean, if he's asked us to kill you, perhaps he's asked somebody else.
Do you know why the Grandmaster Stanyard might want you dead? I mean, I've heard of nasty breakups, but this seems a bit beyond that.
Yes, breakup come through differences in outlook. I wanted to come home, he wanted to stay there. It wasn't like we hated each other.
Well, he certainly seems to actively dislike you enough to ask some complete strangers to kill you.
I'm incredibly confused.
Ah, I have had a thought. Do you recall when we were investigating the rift, we went to see... I can't remember his name now.
Ignacio, did you say? Sasha?
Ignacio.
Actually,
And there was an imposter.
There was a shapeshifter.
Exactly. So could that shapeshifter have been impersonating the Grand Master
Could well have
to
been.
throw us off the scent?
The Grandmaster was a gnome, wasn't he?
Yes.
dwarf.
Dwarf.
Dwarf. Well, the size is just about.
Ignacio was a gnome. The Grandmaster's a dwarf.
I
The size
think-
isn't too far off.
I think it is very probably likely because having something like that said to you when outside the remits of the Mage Council,
Yes, he did say it come to us alone afterwards, didn't he?
and we didn't like that at all, let alone the idea of killing someone.
Quite.
We're not assassins.
Exactly. We are investigators, not assassins. So,
Well, I'm more of a mercenary, but
Well-
yes.
okay. But the point stands that when I said that, you were very, very surprised. So you have not foreseen any of that, which leads me to believe that that wasn't the Grand Master that asked us to do that. Because I think that somebody that you were very close to doing something like that, you would have had more of a clue or more of an inkling of what could happen.
This shapeshifter that you mentioned, he part of the temporal disturbances?
Yes,
Yeah.
he was the one that showed us how to go in and out of the rift. Now, we believed it was a researcher, Ignacio, and it wasn't. It was somebody impersonating him because we later found Ignacio knocked out cold in his home.
Well,
So this would explain why you couldn't see it
if it's a time traveler asking,
quite.
then that would block my communication with Liasol.
Exactly. So,
Maybe then you will see something that will help us to stop these rifts,
mm,
and this person didn't want that to happen.
this person knows that you could do such a thing and wants to get rid of you because you are key to understanding what is going on.
Basically, this person said that something you do will cause the deaths of millions, and
Something
so
I will
the death
do.
of you
Yes.
will save the death of the life of millions.
This is how he justified it to us.
It also suggests, Mazdak, that this Grand Master, if that was his intention for the mission, he would not have been trusting or open for me to join you in this journey. Surely not. An unknown person to him.
Exactly. This is why I do not think it was the Grandmaster that asked us to do that part.
He talked about radicalization
Hmm.
and a war between the dragons and the wizards.
I mean, us
And-
assassinating you would certainly start a war between the wizards and the dragons.
Well, quite possibly. But who's to say that
This in the first place.
With
Mm.
with respect,
we all... Sorry, go on, Kraft.
let me. This is something that needs to be brought to Seti's attention immediately. You know as well as I do that the hotheads like Contarara will immediately send everything they have to go and burn down Hapakantisha at the slightest of provocations.
Yes.
Seti has always been the level head in these parts.
Well, I'm due to go and talk to Seti a little bit later on today, so I could certainly mention this.
I will speak to Seti.
Okay?
If I may suggest that while, of course, you speak to Seti about this, we keep this relatively quiet.
We keep this absolutely
Yes,
quiet.
nobody else should know. So, Sasha, if you could avoid mentioning it to anyone we meet in the street.
your grandfather needs to reach out to his brothers and sisters.
I I apologize. I shouldn't laugh. Normally, I would just ask for the answer. But I do not know what will happen. I do not know if I tell Seti, if Seti tells others. Perhaps that inspires the initial grain of the thought of uniting the dragons against the wizards. Perhaps somehow people like Contarara do find out and do use that as an excuse. Perhaps I'm best to keep this to myself. However, who knows? Perhaps in the next few years, I am the one who brings this forward to the dragons and purposefully brings them together. I do not know my own future.
But you being the cause could mean your death or life. It's not clear. You, Dan, could quite as easily start this war.
And me living may as well.
I will just flick open my book to the back page, bamf my quill out, and ask a question.
Okay.
I
It is the next day. Do you want to type it to me, or are you just gonna?
I'm just gonna. Should
speak it?
Lermy tell Seti of the threat?
Oh God, you're gonna give me one of these that I can't possibly answer in such a short.
Well, it's it's a yes or no, really.
Ask again later.
This is Magic
I've
8
got a
Ball.
magic 8 ball, haven't I?
Maybe, maybe not.
Magic 8
Yeah.
book.
So, unclear.
The future, yeah, I was going to say the future is unclear.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much the answer that you get. The future is unclear.
Not very helpful. But thank you. I say that out loud to my book. Shut the book. So, we have to make a decision. Or rather, well, yes, we have to make a decision. Because as representation of the wizards, I am a wizard.
I saw that you wrote in your book.
I did. I asked it a question.
Nimrillan? Is that the name?
Double checking real fast. Yes, absolutely spot on. Yes. Indeed.
Music. What do we... It's just moving past that. So, what do you suggest?
Well, as a representative of the dragons, as we all are, well, apart from the total gentleman, I think that the best way forward is to be completely open and honest. So I believe that you should very definitely tell Seti what is occurring, including all of the shapeshifter information and the impersonation of Stanyard. Because the threat has not come from the wizards, the threat has come from somebody impersonating the wizards. And the sooner that is cleared up, the better. Well,
Yes.
that needs to be the main message. Somebody is trying to start a war between the wizards and the dragons. They are also heavily involved in these rifts, which is blocking your messages from Liasol to you and causing even more danger around the world. So I think Seti is... I've chatted to him twice. I'm a fairly good judge of character. I think he's a calm and reasonable person. Dragon person. And,
Okay.
you know, I think this will be a good thing. Of course, this is just my opinion. Everybody else can weigh in as they see fit.
Wars have been started over less. It is
Indeed.
best to discuss and be diplomatic rather than to give in to instinct. I know this, I am from Valaya. War is all we do.
You are accustomed to war then. I understand.
At least if your grandfather is aware, he can keep them more hot-headed, shall we say, in line.
Hmm.
If I may suggest, with your visions, normally you are given the answers, yes? Perhaps you should start looking for the question.
So would you like to expand on that? Or are you just a fortune cookie?
Mazdak giggles.
What is it these visions are trying to get from you? What are they trying to say? They're not giving you an answer as such because the answers are wrong, but maybe they're trying to ask you something.
No, I think the visions are trying to tell me an answer, but the circumstances change before that answer can come to be.
The signal is being distorted.
And it's probably the rifts.
We also need to find out who this ominous figure in the sidelines is.
Yes.
Could I insight check Lermy just to see how honest and truthful he's being with us, or I feel he is being?
Okay, go for it.
I won't bother then. That's a natural one.
Oh, dear.
+7 to fucking.
Two insight checks, two natural ones.
I got +7 to it.
Can I cast Detect Magic again, please? I want to see if there are any illusion spells. And is this person actually Lermy or not?
Okay. So as you kind of prepare to cast, wait, is it an instant spell, Detect Magic?
Depends if you use a spell
Yeah.
slot to cast it.
Yeah, it is an action.
Okay. Then it just goes off.
Yeah.
An illusion. What are you hiding?
The whole building is an illusion.
We're in a big hole.
There are plenty of magical things that ping. You're not picking up on any illusion except the remnants of a minor illusion from in between you,
Yeah.
which you were aware of anyway.
Yeah.
No illusions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it lasts up to 10 minutes, so I'm just going to sort of...
Okay.
My apologies for my deception, but I did not know you or know your
intentions.
That's the word. I couldn't think of the word. Intentions.
No, quite all right. Usually I know whether I should trust someone before I meet them.
The image you showed us before,
Yes.
I believe, is the High General of Vastro.
As you say this, Mazdak's just like, what? We have to speak to him.
And as a follower of Vastro, a disciple, if you will, it is not something I will share lightly. But given the portent of the things we've discussed here, I think maybe that's that I had to bring this to your attention.
So this would be Jakoto, correct?
Yes.
Wasn't he the one you were looking for, Mazdak?
Yes. I've been asked to go and speak to him.
Is Jakoto even real?
Yes,
It was legend.
Jakoto is real. Very rarely seen, but real.
So your visions are being stalked by the general to the god of death.
It would appear so.
Not necessarily the best sign.
Oh, I don't know. We're stalked daily by Dalen.
The god of death is not an evil creature. The god of death brings balance to life.
Quite.
Yes, but you don't necessarily want it following you around all the time.
Oh, I don't know.
You want me to leave?
No, absolutely not.
Of course
Death-
not.
Death
I
is
would be
easy.
dead without you.
That is true. And if Vastro said it was your time, then you would be dead anyway.
Then, as long as it was in glorious battle, I would not be too disheartened.
Probably at the bottom of a bottle. I didn't say anything. So,
Now who's being rude?
yeah, be quiet. I didn't say anything. That was Chaz, not Mazdak.
Death is death, darling.
So,
It's the person delivering it that's the problem.
things are crossing, meeting, and wires. So Jakoto pops up once more. The rifts are affecting divination. A shapeshifter is on the loose, trying to get us to start a war between the wizards and the dragons. There's a reason we're on the case.
And that reason is?
Obviously, we're the investigators.
Oh,
Title card, end of episode.
Yep.
It's like doing the freeze jump at the
Yeah.
end.
Mazdak is the only one doing it, and all of the others are looking around confused.
Everyone just saw.
It's like Naked Gun. It's like,
Not quite yet. No, it just felt like a good.
yeah.
I have a question.
Please.
You say that, I apologize if I get the names wrong, but Leo Sol, his words to you are being disrupted. Who is to say that Leo Sol is the only one affected? There are many gods, are there not?
How many gods?
Perhaps the same is happening for this Vastro, and that this Jakoto is investigating. Perhaps that is why you see him.
That's quite an interesting thought.
Dalen's face looks very concerned.
So, Dalen, do you talk to Vastro often?
Not often.
Would you
But I-
know if
I will try.
Would you know if the message from him was being warped in some way?
I do not know until I try.
Hmm.
And he just turns round and walks back out towards the entranceway and sits on the floor. And is going to try and commune with Vastro.
Okay. Give me a religion check.
Okay, let's try different dice.
Have you all considered that perhaps there's another god that wants worship or would benefit from the death that would come from the war?
7.
Then, come on, James.
I think you need to burn that dice.
I think
You'll be getting it. That's a different one.
That was a different one. Come on, buddy. No, I can't give you anything for a 7, I'm afraid. No. No answer.
Dalen doesn't realise why he can't commune with Vastro.
Sorry, the god you're trying to connect to is unavailable right now.
Yeah,
Please
I'm
try
sorry.
again later.
And he's going to sit there and just keep trying until someone disturbs him.
Fair enough.
So he's a bit concerned now.
so. You say, I'm not sure that a god. Well, if it is just Liasol, then perhaps another one of the gods is involved. Perhaps. But if it is more than one god, if it is all gods, then what benefit would it be to disrupt all gods? From another god's point of view. Unless it's some kind of fallen god. Or enemy of the gods. Perhaps.
If they can disrupt the power base, it works the same way as the political structure in Greconoria, I would imagine. Each god has their town, shall we say, which is filled with their followers. If one was to, say, disrupt the lands of communication and, say, initiate a war to gain power from the death and the power that was expanded, they could increase their own standing and take preeminence.
But this only works if that god has the ability to do this.
Well, they could be working through mortal followers.
I'm not sure this feels godlike, to be fair. I mean, it could be. But we don't have enough information to say that that is the case. If, for example, Dalen manages to contact Vastro and everything seems fine, then we have to assume it is an attack on Liasol himself, or Liasol's messaging. But if he is unable to do so, then we have to assume that all gods are affected, and it is in fact some outside agency working to disrupt communication with the gods.
The hells, the void, the astral
Quite.
plane.
Could be any of these things, or all of them. Probably not all of them. They probably don't work well together. I've heard that the hells don't play well with others. So, do you think he's finished yet? We sort of look over at Dalen.
I think he's still probably sat there trying really hard.
Yeah, trying very hard.
Does anybody know how long it takes?
Mine's pretty instant, but it could be an hour. I do not know.
Do you think we'd need to kill somebody to, wake him up?
Well, I don't think so.
That's not quite how Vastro works.
Vastro only takes those, as I understand it, that whose time has come.
That's what they say.
He's not malicious like some of them.
I'm not familiar with many gods.
Yes, blimey. Have you ever come across the Hanumo follower? They will kill you as soon as look at you.
I apologise. I'm trying to remember.
No, there's a lot.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of the one that's like big in Valaya. It's the trade and craft god.
Oh, right,
one
yeah.
of them.
It's not mine one then.
Not Doramond? Is it Doramond?
That sounds vaguely familiar.
Well, I can tell you for one thing, it's not going to be Amriel because she's all about peace.
Yeah, so Amriel is kind of top dog peace side. Hanumo is top dog evil side. Tursith is the balance between them, and that's kind of the god that's loosely followed in Cantisha. There are then 6 gods underneath those. I'm still trying to find my document on all of this. Doramond is kind of all agriculture stuff. Liasol is obviously divination. Vastro's in there as the god of death. Nagale is like the nature god, worshipped mostly in elven territories. And I'm missing a couple more. Where's my thing? That doc there. Ocern, Jay, I think, is the god of agriculture, trade, and craft. Doramond would be more what
The enemies were.
no, sorry, I'm forgetting character names here. Kral. Doramond would be your native god from Balfastland and territories. Yeah. And there's one more which hasn't come up yet.
As I say, I only know of two gods, really, Ozern and Nagale, and neither of those seem like they would be perpetrating something like this.
So I think, from the information that I have, it comes down to Jakoto. I think we need to find and speak with them, or you need to find and speak with them.
Absolutely.
How on earth you do find and speak to what I considered to be a myth, I do not know. Perhaps your Vastro following friend holds the answer.
Could be. Just a quick question. The library. There is a section that is locked.
Hmm.
Do you know what's in there? Is there likely to be any information that could be useful to us there?
Well done.
Very well played.
Well, Strana.
I don't know if there are any books in the restricted section of the SETI library that do not exist in the Cantetian library.
Would Seti know?
Oh. Probably. I mean,
I shall ask him. Because if there are, then I suspect I would need to read them. If there are not any, then I need to be back in Cantisha.
well, if it helps, I can get you back to Cantisha instantly.
Yes, that would help. But I suspect...
Before we do that, I will ask Seti to come here.
Oh, you...
In Dragonborn form.
Oh, I see.
Not big dragon form.
Yeah, I was going to say that could be quite tricky for your beautiful decor.
Yes. No, don't worry. The dragons themselves have learned to take humanoid form.
That makes
It
sense.
makes entering the buildings of their followers easier.
Yeah, quite.
During this conversation, Kez has basically been sat next to Bernier with a sort of tape measure, like taking measurements on Bernier's arm, and there's like a notebook in front of Kez, and he's making notes.
Is
for
Kez
Kral.
magical? Yeah, so I've got a big ping going off on...
You would have, yes, yeah.
I've probably only just noticed this small turtle, and I'm probably very confused by it, but I'm just letting it do what it's doing.
Yeah, so Kez notices that you've noticed, and then basically just tips his mechanical little hat, and then carries on measuring, and then looking inside, and making more notes.
There is a small turtle measuring me.
Don't worry about him, he's just doing me a favour.
I will turn my attention to Dalen. I'm just going to sort of... As he sat on the floor, this is possibly the only time I will be able to do this, I will tap him on the shoulder. Dalen, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we were just wondering how you were getting along. Is Vastro chatty today?
I cannot reach him.
Oh.
I
Okay.
cannot always reach him anyway,
Ah.
but I cannot reach him
So
today.
this, it would be a normal-ish turn of events.
Yes.
Right, so not something specific that only has just started happening. I see. Okay, right, okay.
I will try again tomorrow.
Okay, that makes sense. We are to be visited by Seti.
Will be interesting. How will he fit in the building?
Well, he's going to come in a more humanoid form.
I did not know dragons could turn into humanoids.
Apparently they can,
This is fascinating.
which is marvellous.
When you spoke to Contarara at the camp, when you
It
were
was humanoid, yes.
she was in humanoid form.
Indeed.
Didn't know it was intelligent or have a very good memory.
Yeah.
Wait, is that Dalen or James?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for your
that.
strengths.
So, I will get a message to Seti and ask him to pay us a visit. Please make yourselves comfortable. I will also fetch some tea.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And that's where we'll leave it for this evening.
Cool.
Okay. Wow, the thought plickens.
Indeed.
Are you taking notes? Is my brain melting trying to contain all of this?
Yes.
Mhm.
Do you want my notes?
The plot, like my gravy, thickens.
Awesomes. Cool.
Am I taking notes? Is my intelligence better than Dalen's?
Yeah, I'm really bad at taking notes, but I'm supposed to be playing the intelligent one, so
Yeah.
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 Oh, I can shoulder some of that burden, Chas.
I was going to say, I imagine Kral's got quite high intelligence.
Yep. Kral's is higher.
Fair enough. Cool. Right. Well, thank you very much, Martin.
Yeah.
It was
fantastic.
highly entertaining, and I will get into that locked section of the library.
Even if it
It's like some just deep side quest that you are just put your brain to that I
Absolutely.
will get those books.
I want the
Even if you
books.
Even if you get incinerated 3 seconds later, you will get into that section.
Absolutely, yeah. I was considering, if there were no librarians near, just melting the lock, but
Yeah.
I decided against that at the last second.
From that description, Ash, it feels like that Mazdak would be falling, holding the book as he falls into a volcano.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Either that, or
Reading.
sort of like basically several arcane cannons appear and just in basic the flamethrower variety, and just go and roast.
As long as the books are all right.
Yeah.
Mazdak roasting on open fire.
Cool. Right. Okay. Well,
Right.
thank you all very much for playing. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I hope it was as entertaining for you as it was for us. And we will see you all very soon. Bye.